Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda and I'm here with my brother Eric.
How's it going, everybody? We are here in the middle, I guess, of season 4 of Stranger Things with episode 3. It's like the middle-ish, right? I think 3 is kind of where we start to get to the middle section. We've taken our first 2 episodes.
About a third of the way there.
Yeah, because we've taken our first 2 episodes to kind of outline what the new stories are going to be for this season. And I think now we start to see them really push forward and develop. And so this is episode 3, chapter 3, the monster and the superhero. And we're kicking it off from there. Amanda, general thoughts on the episode in general?
Well, before we get into this episode, just to give a quick recap of where we left things off in chapter 2,
Sure.
We had, as a reminder, the basketball captain Jason learning that Chrissy is dead and his team is now hunting the Hellfire Club. 11 knocked out Angela with that roller skate at the roller rink after she was humiliated by her in front of Mike. We also had Dustin and that group locating Eddie, and explaining the Upside Down to him. We also saw Joyce and Murray connecting with Enzo, who they discovered was Hop's prison guard, or that's who they theorize him to be, which is a good theory. But we also had Fred Benson, poor Fred Benson, becoming Vecna's next victim. Yeah, short-lived on the show, was only on it for 2 episodes. The kid who worked with Nancy at the paper, he became Vecna's next victim while Nancy was interviewing Eddie's uncle and learning as much as she could about what happened. So yeah, we were then left just seeing Fred mangled on the street in a similar way to how we saw Chrissy. So, I mean, that was just really, I really enjoyed that episode. I know when we were talking about the ratings, I really had both of those the first 2 neck and neck, with a score of 9. I think you were maybe slightly below where I was at for that one. But we both really liked it. I think we gave them slightly higher ratings than the people on IMDb.
I would say significantly higher ratings, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the IMDb ratings for first and second episodes tends to stick around 8. I was much higher than that on those last 2 episodes. I feel like this series has kicked off really well in comparison to many of the previous seasons. And you know what's funny is I always remember thinking season 4 starts really slow, but it gets going. And if I am this excited about this beginning of season 4, I have to change my perspective on this whole thing. We'll see where this ends. I mean, I know where it ends, but we'll see how we feel about these episodes on a rewatch. But I'm surprised at how highly rated I've given these first 2 episodes.
Yeah, maybe we feel like in the past it seemed like without knowing the direction that it's going, it could give the sense that it's starting off slower because it's just a new environment. So you're having to get used to, all right, this one group of kids, we have, Will and 11 and Jonathan all out in California now, and they're all trying to adjust. How is this all going to connect? It's hard to really foresee the direction that it's going to go, and dealing with kind of more this real world type bullying stuff that it's just, it's a very different feel, and also, we have Hopper literally removed from the group in a different country. He's out in Russia, so it's just a very different feel, but I'm a fan. I really like it. I feel like this one is, for me, and we'll get into the details on why I feel this way, but it just not as much happens in this episode. So
Well,
to me, I enjoy this one, but there wasn't as much direct conflict. Like, you can see the momentum of where it's being pushed, but this one, I won't get into my rating yet. Obviously, we like to do that toward the end of the episode, but I didn't like this one as much as I like the others, but I'm still excited to talk about all these details with you.
Well, I think what happens, what we're seeing with Stranger Things as we have gone through them now. This is the 4th season that we're going through it, both on a rewatch. And so, like I said, the first two episodes seem to just set the tone, right? They explain where everybody's at. Because remember, unlike other shows, they have fast forwarded a year in between every single, season. So now it's a year later, and we almost have to like relearn where all these characters are now and what are they doing now, because they weren't doing that thing when we last saw them. Things like Lucas being on the basketball team and why he's part of that and why he finds that interesting. I find that to be a very interesting story that I think makes a ton of sense for him and for, their group to have somebody that would kind of step out and try to get into a popular circle to benefit the group. I think that makes a ton of sense. I don't know that it is, it's not successful. We know that. It's not going to work for him. But I think the stretch of him doing that makes a lot of sense. I think we see that as they have moved from middle school to high school, people start finding different like friend groups. And I think that tells a relatively realistic story.
Yeah.
Whether or not people like seeing that is a different thing. And I think there are fans out there that wish Stranger Things was just them as little kids playing D&D and the monsters that they fought along the way, and this is a more, full nuanced version of that, which does have pitfalls. Don't get me wrong. The series is not flawless, but you have to kind of pick and choose where you're going to, run with it. And so after those first 2 episodes, I guess my point is, we then usually see like this bridge where there's like, hey, this is the storylines we're setting in tone. And after 2 episodes, we all kind of go, okay, we've got our foothold in what these storylines are now. And then there's like a moment where we've got to like stretch it to the next one because we really want to get you to this next point. And so this episode was in fact about 15 minutes shorter than other ones. And to me, this episode acts as that bridge that gets us to a more developed section of a story.
Yeah.
It was a lot there. We're going to talk about all the different storylines, obviously, but there was a lot more like learning that went on here, a lot more decision making that went on here, and not as much action as what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like we've consistently seen that episode for each season,
yes,
which makes sense for sure. Or maybe a couple of them.
Like if I look back,
things are
pushing
in a direction. And I think having Lucas in that like outsider role actually serves as this great plot device that we see play out in this episode, where it's like he's not in the group, but it serves a great purpose because then he can kind of act as defense from the outside. So
if I look back on last season, right, we started with Susie, Do You Copy, which was, them setting up the antenna, and we're learning about what, Mike and 11 are now and how all this is going together. We also then follow that up with Mallrats, which is like the breakup and the fashion shows and the mall and getting introduced to how the mall
more
is.
More of a lighthearted, fun episode.
Meanwhile, the rats and stuff is still going on. We're learning about these rats that are becoming an issue. And then episode 3 is the case of the missing lifeguard. And this is kind of where we really get information about Billy and a lot of the other stuff that's going on before we get episode 4, the sauna test, which is awesome. right? So I kind of view this as it is episode 3, and this is kind of where we get a lot of learning in this before we go on to a bigger and better thing. Maybe I'm wrong, because I don't remember all these episodes point by point, but that's what this felt like as I was watching it.
No, I think they do use a similar formula for each season for sure, which makes sense. It's like building, and then you have this arc, and then we're
storytelling.
We're really in the action. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, for sure. So, yeah, this is definitely, for that reason, how it opens up. I love this, Eric, because this is another, like, the first thing I thought of was like, this is looking like an alien invasion. So it wasn't seen as a helicopter, at least in my mind. I was not thinking helicopter. When I'm seeing outside of Dr. Owens' house, you're just seeing like this close encounters of the third kind.
That's exactly what I thought of. That is the exact thing that I thought of too. By the way, before we really get rolling, let's just confirm this is season 4, episode 3, chapter 3 of Stranger Things, the monster and the superhero. Okay. So let's talk about this helicopter, which absolutely felt like Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes, and it's really the U.S. military wanting Dr. Owens' help, and they're showing up and showing him pictures of Chrissy and also, I imagine, of Fred, and they're thinking that this is 11 doing this. Right? And they're then just saying, listen, we could do this the easy way or the hard way. And he's really not wanting to say anything about Eleven's whereabouts or knowing anything about her any longer.
He in fact said that she was dead.
They're right. So they are dumping his house at this point, just looking for whatever they can. And then they're flying away. And Eric, something that stuck out to me in this moment was how they're standing outside. This must have been a reference to a specific another film, is my guess. And I did not see what it was the reference to, but them standing outside, shielding their eyes from the light and the wind. I'm thinking, you guys, you didn't have to go outside. It made for an amazing shot, but it was just funny to me. I'm like, really, you'd go outside to watch this helicopter fly off?
And that's why I felt like some of this was Close Encounters. I felt like there was something here from that. I also thought there was something in the, like, seeing the helicopter through the blinds of the window, like
this part is from was.
Yeah. So like these are even elements
from
of
too.
Yeah, these are elements from stories that we've seen before, and no, I couldn't place it offhand, but absolutely they are taking these shots from 80s films that I have seen before. And yeah, there might have been some ET connected to that. But
another really quick opening scene. That was before the credits.
It was much quicker. I will say I really like the theory of like science versus military. That was what was basically posed here. Was Dr. Owens is saying, listen, I don't know what you think you know, but I can tell you right now that the military is not going to do anything to stop this. Like, this is going to be something that can't be solved with the military. And meanwhile, the general, I'm going to call him, was like, well, listen, science kid, you're all the ones that started this. So it's not going to be fixed by science either. And it's kind of like, I see both sides of this.
Yeah.
Like, specifically, if you're a military person, you could say, listen, you guys messed this up. We're here to fix it. I get it. But I also understand Dr. Owens being like, yeah, but you can't. Like, you can shoot all the bullets you want to. Like, it's not going to fix anything. And I understand the military not understanding that side of it. It makes for a very interesting, like, back and forth that I think we see carry through the rest of the series.
Yeah. And I was very excited to see the direction that Dr. Owens' character took. I did not remember that detail in this rewatch.
I also forgot. That was one of those things that as we get later, we'll see Dr. Owens again later in this. I fully forgot that was I expected it to be somebody else, but it wasn't.
Yeah, well, I've told you from the moment that we saw Dr. Owens' character in the last season, that I'm like, I don't like this guy and I don't trust him. And I had that same feeling when I saw him.
No, that was 2 seasons ago. That was 2 seasons ago.
Oh, that was 2. That's right.
You didn't like him in season 2 at all.
No. And I'm thinking, no, I don't like this guy. I don't trust him. And again, I had that same feeling. Maybe it's Paul Reiser. I don't know. But either way.
I like Dr. Owens.
But he doesn't. No, he does a good job of you don't quite get him figured out right away. You're not gonna.
In season 2, it's very easy to think that he is not on their side, even though he's saying that he's on their side, and he's trying. All his words say that he's on their side. You've now been conditioned not to trust him. And so it's very difficult to want to trust his character, which is they did a really good job with that. So I understand not wanting to trust Dr. Owens, although I think at this point we can. I mean, I'd say that we could have done that a while ago. I've felt pretty good about Dr. Owens since he helped them get out of the lab.
I figured, I guess for me, I'm thinking, well, what kind of power does he have at this point?
Pretty significant, although none right now, it sounds like. They fired him.
Well, and to what lengths is he willing to go to help 11? But I'm glad that he's really what we'll see later. It's like he's really seeing this as the greater good. He's not just helping 11, he's helping the world. He needs to.
He views it that way. Well,
harness 11. And we'll get there. But
let's dive back into this.
Yeah, before we get there, we have to go right back to what I will consider the ongoing saga of how Mike and Will are disappointing me. Because again, we're back at the roller skating rink where, Angela's being assisted by this medic, and the kids are all standing around in silence, and you see 11 is just sitting alone, shaking like a leaf in one of these booths. Mike and Will are just standing there. They're not going to comfort her. They're just kind of staring off into the distance, not doing anything, not talking to her. It's just bad. She's covered in chocolate shake, and I don't know what these two are thinking. And, then we're in the car with them, and again, they're acting like they're mad at her. It's very weird, Eric. I don't know. This is very strange.
The combination of Mike, Will, and 11 together is just so hard to watch right now. It's very awkward. And you can see the idea of Mike is disappointed because he feels as though 11 should have been truthful to him. 11 is mad at Mike because she feels he's not being truthful with his emotions. Will is upset because Mike came to see them, but Mike has not wanted to actually see Will at all. It's very hard. There's so much tension going on here between the three of them. They are certainly building tension, that's for sure. And you're waiting for that explosion where they all just start screaming at each other. And we haven't seen any of it. So we just get this really awkwardness where none of them are doing anything. And it's hard to watch. In fact, I love the idea that Jonathan and Argyle are trying to break the tension because they're stoned, and they're bringing up things imagine if it was an ice skate, you could have sliced your nose right off. That would have been crazy.
I would agree, except this is so not them trying to cut the tension. This is just them being off their asses.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm guys,
they're not.
Wow.
They're not attempting to cut the tension. They just don't read the room at all, and they're just saying crazy stuff.
I'm like, Jonathan, I don't like you like this.
I don't either. I really don't either, but I find Argyle funny. He can be like that.
Argyle,
but I don't like but
Argyle.
Jonathan, I wish... Well, let me put it this way. I can understand a person through Jonathan's history with all the stuff that he's been through and all the things that he's dealing with, making good friends with Argyle. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I get it. And I get that Jonathan is just looking for a different outlet at this point. Jonathan is trying to figure it out on his own terms. He's in this new environment. He's also, I think, still continues to feel the pressure of taking care of things and really not having it. I think this is his way of basically, he's saying the words of sticking around to help Joyce, help mom, but really he's out of body, right? Like he's actually removed himself from the equation. I mean, literally in this upcoming scene, right? Like so the kids all show up at home. Who's there but Murray making risotto,
which is awesome.
Which is hilarious. Yeah,
such a good moment.
And
like they're all looking for Joyce, and then Murray's like, "Hey guys."
And Jonathan is like, "Oh, hey, Murray!" Like he's like acts like he's like this isn't weird at all, and they're all excited because they just want to eat his food. They have the munchies, and so they're all sitting down eating. But like Jonathan is so tuned out and so stoned that like he doesn't even know what the heck is going on. He's not hearing.
No,
Joyce.
I mean,
he's
listen,
not hearing anything. I'm like, oh, Jonathan,
Joyce is trying through this dinner to like bamboozle the kids with this whole business trip idea. I have to go on a business trip tomorrow to Alaska. Like, what?
No.
And meanwhile, Jonathan's not hearing any of this. He's
even Argyle was
wiped
following.
out. And Argyle was totally locked in.
Thank God.
Jonathan's not hearing anything. Mike and Will and 11 are all still in their own feelings and mad at each other, and they're half listening and half like just mad. 11 walks off, which Murray thinks it's because of the risotto, which is kind of funny. And meanwhile, what I find most interesting is that Joyce is picking up on none of the clues about Jonathan.
No.
And Murray is locked in. He knows exactly what's going on. And, it just goes to show.
Joyce is just not wanting to see it. I mean, that's a choice at that point. She's just in total denial at this point. I mean, she's so wrapped up in trying to figure out her own story, I think, too, in this moment, that she's just not paying attention to what's right in front of her. So I was a little bit annoyed with Joyce in this scene, too, because I'm like, all right, your kids are, like, stuff's going down here. Like, there's clearly been an incident with a roller skate. You have Jonathan not hearing any of what you're saying, and you're just like, I don't know, just trying to figure out the story with Hopper. Like, she's so preoccupied.
You're trying to sell at the same time while all this is going on. You're trying to sell them on a lie, which again, listen, adults, we're 4 seasons in here.
I know. My God.
And I know we're gonna get to this. We're gonna continue here with the kids' side of this, and we're gonna come back to Murray's side and Joyce's side later. So I guess we'll suspend that for later. But this is kind of where these storylines are going to deviate. We're going to keep going here with the kids, but we'll come back and touch on some of the decisions that Joyce has made at this point.
Absolutely, because first, before that, we also see Mike trying to smooth things over with 11, which I thought was I applauded. I'm like, all right, Mike, you're stepping up here. You're bringing the Eggos in, like you're bringing reinforcements.
This is the next morning now. Like this is not from the same dinner. So the next morning we're still upset.
Yes. And they're kind of like, are you guys going to just be bummed out this entire spring break? Like what's happening here?
Well, that's Jonathan. Jonathan is now like, what do you like trying to get him to go to a movie or do something? They're all like, you're just going to sit here like upset for a week? Like what a waste of time.
Yeah, teenage years, fun stuff, right?
So I'm just starting those.
Good luck with that. So this is, and I think a lot of, I was gonna say that earlier too, is I guess you could explain a lot of this just irrational behavior away by that. It's just that it's like, these are the teenage awkward years. No one knows what they're doing. Emotions are running high. Everyone's trying to, figure out their own place.
100% true. Like that is for real. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
but I would argue that the irony is they could have started like laying that foundation in even more last season. And they really didn't. Like, you didn't see any real tension in this area between the characters last season.
Well, with Mike and
because
11,
they were of that age. Huh?
Yeah, with Mike and 11, you certainly did. I mean, that was the beginning, right, where they're trying to like install.
No, but I don't think there was any tension there. The only tension was that the other kids were mad that they weren't hanging out with them anymore. That's about it.
That's it, right?
Well,
because then after
you could.
After that, then they were just right into the action. So it's almost like they didn't have time anymore to focus on that. But to me, it was sort of like,
true.
Mike, what the heck? Like, you've ditched us.
You're right. I guess they did start because last season was like the age that starts. They're older now, and it's even worse. Like that's how the story goes. We've all been there.
Exactly. And so,
if you're not yet 12 listening to this, it's coming.
It's Mike he's trying to do the right thing here. I'm like, all right, you're trying to talk to her about it. He's trying to understand, like, listen, I was bullied. You should be able to talk to me about this, like
that's such a good argument from him.
It's true. It's like, I understand this more than anyone. And it's like, she just is really struggling with not only has she always felt out of place, but she's also she doesn't have her powers anymore. So she's not even herself as she's known herself in that way. So it's like not only struggling with just being a teenage girl in general, which is hard enough, but now you are struggling with moving to a new town, not having your powers, so everything that you knew yourself to be growing up, you no longer are. It's just, she just keeps getting hit over and over again on top of just being tormented by these little psychopaths at school. It's rough. So she is just, her reaction to this is just, she's pushing him away. She doesn't want to have any of it. It's a tough scene. It's a really heartbreaking scene to me.
Well, and she runs down all the letters from Mike. Like,
going
she's
back to that,
really upset that, you are unwilling to give. You said you loved me, and now every single thing I get is from Mike, and so that is what is really hurting her with him.
Yes.
Every single thing is that way. And it's funny because you mentioned that last week when we did this on the letter, and I didn't even catch it. They did focus on it. I actually went back and looked at it. I'm surprised I didn't write it down. But they did obviously take a beat and look at that. And after you've said, like, love, you can't go back to from. Mike.
Yeah, this is like...
And I don't understand why he would say that he loved her, and then in that moment right there that she's going through all this, he's still like, why do I have to say it? It's like, you've already said it, Mike. You've already said it.
I think
what's going on
just... This could be... I guess we could point to a few things. I mean, listen, the household that Mike is growing up in, I don't see them being awfully affectionate and expressing their emotions toward each other a whole heck of a lot. So
hold on. I might have to withdraw my last statement already.
Okay.
Did he not say it?
Oh, he said it. No, he was
He was
the first one to say it. He didn't know that she heard it, though. He said it to the other kids.
I'm like, he said it, right?
Remember,
like he did say it because I remember her at the very end of last season saying "love you too." He did not respond to that, but he said it to her before that, correct?
No, not to her. No. He has told the friend.
Oh, he said it in front of the group, but he never said it to her.
No.
So, so there is a difference here.
There is a difference.
He has expressed that he loves her.
Yes.
But he has not said to her, I love you.
No.
Okay, so then I have to withdraw my statement of you can't go back. That's true. He hasn't gone back yet.
He hasn't gone back.
All of a sudden, it hit me like a ton of bricks as I'm saying this. Like, wait, hold on.
You're
Did he
right.
not? He
technically, but
yes, technically. No,
but
I'm right.
It's like, you know, from the girl's perspective too, I think that, you know, we're looking for that.
No.
It's like you've put it out there. I've responded, and now you're not gonna put it out there again
but
directly
he has
to
not,
me. Like, what's up with that? You're going to tell my friends you feel that way? You're going to tell our friends and talk about it behind my back, but you're not actually going to say it. Like, that's not a great feeling, right? It's like, so I think, but again, what I was getting at was, I think in general, Mike doesn't really come from a long line of Wheelers who are great at expressing their emotions verbally. No, I don't think so. And just Mike being like an awkward boy, you know, I think like he's just not there yet, even though in his mind, he's probably thinking it to himself constantly, but he just isn't saying the words. And so that's where he's like, of course I like, that's how I feel. Like, why would you think that? And she's like, well, because you haven't said it, bruh. You know what I mean? It's kind of like...
Yeah. So I guess I have to go... I am rethinking my whole stance on this, like, live as we're doing this. And the whole idea of, like, how come he wouldn't say it? Like, he's already said it. That's not true. He hasn't said it. He has said it to another group of people when she's not around. He has heard it from her. He knows he feels it, but he has not actually spoken those words. So it is also tough, though, for Eleven to then pressure him into this, you know, and at the same time, he's got to just come out and, you know, express his emotions. And like you said, it's very difficult for someone who maybe has the, you know, awkwardness and shyness that he does, and also comes from his family background, which is not great at expressing emotions. Cite Nancy, cite Mr. Wheeler. Like, it's tough for him, but he's got to come up. He, like, at this moment, he's got to be able to say it. He's got to say it.
Yeah, I don't really see this as Eleven really pressuring him. I think that he came into her room and she's just now expressing to him how she feels. Like, she has not been saying, like, listen, you need to say it or else. Like, it wasn't like that. It was just like, listen, what's up with this dude? Like, you're asking me why I'm upset, and now I'm telling you why I'm upset.
When you start rattling off all the letters that say from Mike, from Mike, from Mike, from Mike, from Mike. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say we're just expressing our disappointment, but there is undue pressure that just comes from that now.
Well, it could be argued that
you are putting pressure on him to say it
by putting that out there to his friends. He created this.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on from this.
Well, we have the cops showing up and now arresting Eleven. And it's like, at this point, Jonathan is
realism comes back around. You don't get to beat somebody in the face with a roller skate and walk away from it.
Apparently not even in the 80s. So we have her parents were pressing charges here. So the cops are questioning Eleven. And Eleven needs
to ask for a lawyer.
Yeah, thank you. If you're ever brought into a police interrogation room, say nothing, get a lawyer. Like, Eleven, this is wrong. She's a child. I don't even know if this is legal. It's
definitely not.
This is
like,
not.
She's a minor. You can't question her without at least a parent present.
This is bad. And so she's fingerprinted, she's booked, she's taken away in a van. I mean, it's this whole thing, and then she's having flashbacks of being, of hitting Angela, and also from her childhood in the Rainbow Room, and just making all these connections, just feeling really guilty because she's feeling like she internalized what happened in the Rainbow Room as a child as being her fault, because those words of Papa too, what have you done? And then that all kind of repeated itself with Angela. I mean, she did strike Angela in that scene, but this is not her fault. But you had Mike standing over her saying, what have you done? So it's just, this has been this recurring theme for her. She is really struggling with dealing with this. So I think part of her was also started to confess to things because she feels really bad. She feels like she has done a bad thing in this moment and doesn't understand. She doesn't understand the law. She doesn't understand like really most of what's going around her socially. So it's really rough. And luckily, though, we do see then that's where Dr. Owens catches up with this van.
We do. Before he does, let's just mention that Mike and Will and Jonathan are, throughout this whole thing, trying to get in to see her, trying to get contact. They're doing the best they can, but they're being told, hey, listen, you're not a guardian, you're not a parent. And they're like, well, we're her stepbrothers. Not good enough. Like, you need to get your mom. And, of course, mom is on a business trip to Alaska, quotes. So they can't get to Joyce, so there's nobody that they can go to see and help get 11 out, which is why it's very fortunate that Dr. Owens comes in out of nowhere to make this interception.
Yeah, because at first you see this other woman, and it's like, wait, what is this lady? What's gonna happen to 11, right? Like my initial thought was, because I didn't remember how this diner scene went down coming up, I was thinking, well, she's now gonna be taken somewhere and is gonna be tortured, or like, you know, she's gonna be exploited in some way.
Well, they had given us flashbacks earlier in this episode too of the like the agent with the blonde hair from the first season that 11 had killed in the hallway, essentially. And I wasn't sure if somehow we were getting like her coming back into the mix somehow, or somebody of that nature. And and nope.
The quote unquote social worker. Yes. Yeah. But Dr. Owens is explaining to 11 that this evil just keeps returning, stronger, smarter, and deadlier. And he's feeling like this is a war that is coming to Hawkins, and it's targeting her people. And he really wants to be able to help her to bring her powers back. He feels that he's found a way to do that. And he just feels that she's the cure for everything that's been going wrong in Hawkins. But he's warning her. He's saying, listen, if this program fails, you'll never see your friends again. But he believes that right now, they're in the eye of the storm, which could maybe also explain when we're talking about this episode being this bridge, right? It's the eye of the storm is like the quiet before everything starts to go bananas.
Like they all know that something's going on and they're around it, but this is like the calming moment where they're all trying to get stuff squared away to make that next action. I will say that he essentially leaves 11 with a choice of, like, do you want to get back into this? Do you want to try? Or do you want to walk away? And we can do whichever one of these things you want to do.
That's when you know he's really on her side, too, when he gives her that choice. He gives her the freedom to choose. Yeah. And
to me, it hit me like The Matrix. Like red pill or the blue pill. Like that's what this was. It's like, which path do you want to take? Do you want to go and like be part of this? Or do you want to just walk out and just go on about your life? And as we know, she's going to be a part of this.
Well, and the timing really could be better because she's feeling really defeated. She is feeling really alone and she doesn't know what her purpose is. And now he's handing her her purpose. And this is the purpose that has really driven her throughout this series, is being the hero. So it's really, it comes together full circle here. Just really, really like those scenes with Dr. Owens. Liked how he showed up and said, "Hey, kiddo." So.
Yeah, it was really good. Almost gave her like another father figure since Hopper is dead, question mark. And with that, we'll jump over to that Hopper and Joyce storyline here, where Joyce and Murray are now on a plane. And Joyce is heading off to Alaska on her business trip. And she is second guessing whether or not she should have told the kids the truth about this. And Murray's response is something like, listen, I love your kids and all, but they have a tendency to want to try and get involved. And I'm just sitting here going, listen here, Murray. You know,
get involved.
You know more than anyone. Jonathan and Nancy came to you first. That's how we met you, right? This is not something that the adults are going to handle. This is something that the kids have been handling. Yeah. Okay. So like,
get involved, Murray.
Get them in.
Solve the problem. Yeah.
Like,
save the
get
day.
them involved. Get them involved. You guys are always just walking around the outskirts. Get the kids involved here, because I guarantee you they know more than you do already. And guess what? They do.
Oh, this is, Joyce, you're second guessing yourself for a reason here. Like, you made the wrong choice.
You know you made the wrong
poorly.
choice here. Yeah. Now, that being said, there's not a whole lot left from Joyce and Murray. They're on a plane the rest of the way for the most part. There are a couple moments, but the rest of this comes to Hopper. What do you make out of this whole Hopper scene?
Well, I just really quick on Murray, with Murray, I feel like I just appreciate the comic relief from Murray at all times. I mean, to me, that is the biggest purpose that drives Murray's character in the story. Him just saying, try to quote unquote reassure Joyce by saying, oh, what could they be getting into? Smoking a little ganja, experimenting sexually. What could go wrong? And she's just like, what? Yeah. Except it's now notched up to another level. If only they were doing that. No, this is, things have gone awry and they don't even realize it. So, but yeah, Hopper, this scene, oh my gosh. Him being asked, well, first of all, Eric, do you really think he and Enzo are being subtle here? I mean, I get that he's punching him in the face to cover this up, but I don't know. This is really risky for them to be talking this way just out in the open. I don't know how much I buy that.
I don't know that it's really out in the open.
Yeah.
I mean, they clearly are away from the crowd. You can't take him like 3 miles away. Like, he's got to be part of this. Like, you have to be able to get enough space, make it look like, Enzo is just taking him aside to give him a beating, essentially. Yeah. And at the same time, pass enough messages back and forth. Now, they should have been able to do this faster. I feel like that's the one thing. Like, if this was a real life scenario, this happens way quicker than this. It's got to. You can't have this whole long, drawn out story about it. But you have to be able to do something. And so it's clear, though, what I do feel like we learned from this moment where Enzo essentially pulls Hopper off the line to pass some information to him and give him a beating, is that Enzo and Hopper are in fact working together. That it is not just Enzo on his own, like rogue, saying that he wants money to maybe get Hopper free. Like, they've got it worked out. The two of them together are working.
Yes, we've confirmed that. So Enzo is sharing the news about Joyce being on her way with Hopper, although now he is very worried that she might be in danger. They've told him that she won't be, but he's not really trusting this pilot Yuri, who we haven't met yet, but he's the one.
Well, you should have thought of that first, Hopper. What are we doing here? Like, if you weren't wanting to put her in danger, then what are you even starting this whole thing for?
Exactly.
Come on now.
Yeah, you sent the message out to her.
You
gave her identity to this prison guard. Like, well, yeah, you've already rolled those dice. It's too late. But Yeah.
Yeah, that ship has long sailed at this point.
And this whole thing with the other dude, so he gives this other prisoner, Hopper gives this other prisoner his bread and soup so that he can help bust him out of these shackles. Okay, his ankle was so swollen. Oh my gosh, this is such a brutal scene. He's trying to rip this shackle off of his ankle after it's been damaged. I mean, is this a thing? I don't know.
I mean,
wow.
I think if you're in that desperate spot, like, you'd start doing desperate things, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, he's not going to get him to break the shackle, right? What he's going to get him to do is, like, break his ankle so he can then, like, conform the bone to slide through the shackle. It was rough to see.
Oh,
Season 4 is for real. Okay.
I'm like, was he trying to deform the shackle so that he could, like, slide it over his ankle?
That wasn't deformed. It was a circle still. I think he was trying to deform his foot.
I honestly, I was a bit unclear. Because my initial thought was, why is he breaking that thing? Why not just break the chain? But it's because the chain has to appear intact, obviously, because they're checking. Yeah,
and they showed that later.
Yes.
Like, that's right. They showed that after, and I was like, why wouldn't he just slam the chain?
Right.
But they have to see that the chain is intact. So he's got to be able to break his foot so he can slide it in and out of the shackle, which is
good luck getting away.
That is one thought.
Oh,
that's one way to do it.
This is bad. But then you're gonna hop away on one leg? I mean, this is rough.
Listen, desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm not saying that you can run on a broken ankle easily, but I bet when you really want to, that pain doesn't feel that bad.
That is true. Rather be running on a broken ankle than hanging out for the rest of my whatever is left of your life in a Russian prison. Like,
you're going to get one chance. You've got a plane. You've got all this stuff ready to go. Like, you got one shot at it. Like, you're going to take all the chances you can in that one shot. Because if you don't make it, it's over.
Yeah.
It's done.
And we do see that Joyce and Murray did land in Alaska. And they're like, wow, this is springtime because it looks cold. So,
It was. I just watched Cool Runnings with my kids, and I don't know if you've seen Cool Runnings in a while with the Jamaican bobsled team. Such a great movie. Anyway, the Olympics were on, so we were watching this, and there's a scene where they all get out and they walk into Calgary, and it says, like, -5 degrees or whatever, and the wind is blowing and the snow is going, and they are all freaking out because it's not Jamaica anymore. And even though, Joyce is not from Jamaica, the idea of walking into Alaska with this, like, snowstorm blowing around in the spring felt very similar, where it's like, yeah, welcome to the tundra.
That is such a great John Candy movie. I watched that movie over and over again. Oh my goodness.
I can't even explain how many times I've watched that movie.
Yeah, we watched it a lot.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Kiss the egg.
Go back and watch it, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to kiss the lucky egg. I still get emotional. I get more emotional about it now as an adult than I did back then, where they carry the bobsled across. Like, come on now. What are we talking about? This is a great movie.
Yes. That is such a great movie. Oh, man.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the end
Dad's got the t-shirt.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's got the t-shirt.
Sorry.
That's a good one.
That is the end of the Joyce and Hopper and the Cool Runnings portion of our story. So let's flip over to Lucas. I feel like that's a little bit more isolated here. So let's do the Lucas section here.
Yeah, I was really not pleased with how the Lucas storyline started out, but I was very psyched with how it concluded, because Lucas.
Well, I feel like I feel like this portion of Lucas's story is like, if you're listen, break out my English terms here. We're watching the rising action of him getting to the climax, and then this is the moment where we have, like, hit critical velocity with Lucas and his boys, and we now flip the turning point and we start changing things around, where Lucas essentially is, seeing his guys, like I said last episode, setting up for their Gaston hunt, where they just are rallying all these things and like wrenches and violent pieces of tools and equipment, and they're going, yeah, we just want to talk to him.
Right, right.
Like, because you would gather these supplies for a conversation.
Yeah.
And they go and they find, well, actually, before they do that, I didn't catch the name, but we do have this moment here in the Vecna world where Vecna is kind of like in this area where I said he's kind of like moving through these plains searching for a host.
Yes.
And it feels like he lands on one of the basketball players who I think they said his name is Patrick.
Oh, I did not catch his name, but he was one of the kids in the back seat. Yes.
Yes. And he got a bloody nose, and it's like, uh-oh. So we may see some of this with Patrick here, question mark, as we go forward, but we didn't see anything outside of that in this episode. What we do have is what I marked as Lucas's betrayal, where Lucas and the basketball team show up to this band that Eddie plays with, except Eddie's obviously not there. And they start questioning the band members. And Lucas completely throws his old friends under the bus.
This is bad.
And is like, oh yeah, these are just some guys that like hang out with my sister and blah, blah, blah. And they're all like left, just gobsmacked at this whole idea that Lucas would just totally roll over them to hang out with his new basketball friends. And this is when Lucas sees the problem. And even though he's tried to disassociate from the band, then the basketball players just start beating the crap out of the band members. And they physically attack them and get the lead band member to give up Dustin's name. And they're like, Dustin Henderson has been looking for him.
Yes.
Well, where do we find him? And so they give up Dustin's address. And this is where Lucas is now like, oh no, like we can't do this to Dustin. Like, what are we going to do? And they get to Dustin's. There's nobody there. And the basketball players are all looking around. Meanwhile, Lucas at this point has started his arc back to the friends, where he saw what happened to the band members and goes, we can't do this. This is too much. And he dives into Dustin's like radio area and is able to communicate with Dustin briefly to let them know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then they're informing him, hey, listen, you're way behind the pace.
Yes.
Like, you got to meet up with us.
Yeah.
Like, we got way more information than that.
Yeah.
And so they agree to meet at the school. This is when the basketball players find Lucas on the radio.
Yeah.
And so Lucas comes down and he's like, hey, I was looking for a clue. And of course, this is where the moment comes in for me. And I go, how come Lucas is still hanging out with these guys? Like, it's not the whole team. It's just these three guys now. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a full team activity. Many of the other team members have left.
That's right.
What are you still doing there, man?
So for me,
and so this is where I have a bigger issue with Lucas still hanging out with these guys.
Yeah. In my mind, I'm feeling very strongly like Lucas, when he went outside in the beginning of this sequence where he's seeing the guys loading these like massive wrenches and other things into their trunk. And he said,
walk away moment was right there.
And the guy said to him, though, I mean, Jason, the captain, did. And I think that he was being straight with him. He's like, listen, you don't have to come with us. Like, we're going to go do this.
Yeah.
You can, like, no hard feelings. And I do feel like he was actually being straight and just like saying, you can go do your thing, but this is what I have to do. Right. And from just Jason's perspective, where, like, yeah, I do think the guy is a jock bully. I think he's an ass. But I also do understand where, from his perspective, his girlfriend is murdered. She, like, something terrible happened to her. And he's gonna seek out the person that he believes did this to her. It was in his house, right? So it's like, I get his side of it too. Now, what I will say, though, is that I do feel like Lucas hung out to keep tabs on them. Like, that is why Lucas went.
At this point, I think that's what he was doing.
He's not a violent guy.
Wholeheartedly.
No, but Lucas has never had the intention of, like, attacking anyone. He wants to keep an eye on what's going on, and also doesn't really know what's going on. He only knows what they're telling him, and he's probably feeling
he knows what he's heard.
Yeah.
And that's about it. But
yeah, so I think that's why he's going along with this. But yeah, I have a real issue with him still when they're saying, you hanging out with these douchebags, Sinclair? And then he's saying, I don't know these guys, like, you know, just totally, you know, throwing their entire friendship under the bus. Yeah, dude, that
was the pinnacle of betrayal for Lucas right there.
Yeah.
But when they get to Dustin's and they were able to make the plan, Lucas is able to think on his feet and goes, no, but I did find a clue.
That's right.
And he leads them up to Hopper's cabin.
Yes.
Which we know.
I guess
nobody's there.
Lucas should have known that the loading of the giant wrench into the trunk meant that they meant business and that they were violent.
I think he does.
I don't think it was until he saw them actually physically attack the band, though, that he realized, oh, this is real. You know, like these guys are actually. Then when Dustin's name is brought up, he's like, they're gonna straight up kill Dustin. Like this.
They're gonna literally fight or try to kill every single person along the way.
Yeah.
And so, this is no longer acceptable. So he leads them up to Hopper's cabin, at which they find nothing because there's nobody there and it's in the middle of the woods. And they're like, well, I think I saw something around back or whatever. And as they start going around back, we get this like slow-mo Baywatch run from Lucas where he's like sprinting back to the car.
Yeah.
And I think that's all we get out of that, right? We don't see any more from that.
No. And I did enjoy that. For me, I think it was also really Max talking to Lucas over the walkie-talkie, because she grabbed the radio out of I think it was Dustin who initially picked it up, and she's like, listen, like you had said, it's not even funny how far behind you are. And I think him hearing Max there too and being part of this and escalating it, realized the seriousness of it, and also the fact that he always wants to be on Max's side. Like, he's always. Going to be in line with Max. It's like, yeah, Dustin, obviously he's going to be there too, but Max being there, he's going to be there for her. So that's where totally flipped.
There's no doubt. Like, if you're giving him the choice of hanging out with Max and Dustin or hanging out with the basketball team, he's picking Max and Dustin.
Yeah.
But he did pick the basketball team when it wasn't Max and Dustin. It was just Dustin.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, the insult of the episode though was when one of the jocks said to Lucas, whoa, what is he? He thinks he's Sherlock Holmes or something? Like it was an insult? I mean, I'm like, these guys.
Listen.
You are not with your people, Lucas. These are not your people. Oh my God.
No, like these, like the irony is I still stand by what Lucas did. Like, listen, you get to high school, you start joining clubs and teams and things like that have, that are your interest. And then you find like-minded people that are also of those interests. And I stress that to everybody. Like when you start heading to high school, like start finding your way, find the things that you are genuinely interested in. Don't do things that other people tell you should be interested in. So Lucas likes basketball. He's good at basketball. He wants to play. And there are some popular kids on the team that he could associate with and help their status all at the same time. Seems like a reasonable outlook. This is not the thing that he signed up for.
No. No.
And so he's pivoting. And
Things
I
are
guess we're
taking
going to
a
see how that run ends up in the next episode.
Yes. Yeah. We don't see even that they
We don't see him get to the
leaving.
car. We don't see him leave. We just see him running.
That's right. Off he goes. But we also have
I'm
the
optimistic.
Nancy.
I think he can make it.
Oh, I think so too.
I think he can make it.
But we also have the Nancy and Robin storyline next, which is all sort of tied in with Max and Steve and Dustin and what they're up to.
Well, yeah, we kind of have to combine the two storylines here together for a moment, because they coincide.
They start
at
together.
The trailer park. Mm-hmm. They start separate, actually, and then they come together, and then they break back off again.
Yeah, fair.
So
yep.
the first part of this that I believe we see is Eddie.
The cereal.
And Eddie is in that barn with, Dustin and Steve and Robin and that gang all hanging out. And they essentially hear the sirens going by as Dustin has brought good and bad news. The good news, or the bad news being, everybody thinks Eddie did it, by the way. Like, they're 100% sure that you did this. Good news is nobody's put your name out there yet. So the cops know it, but nobody else knows it, because once they all find out, you're just going to be hunted down by the public. It's like, right.
And yeah,
That's where
Dustin's like,
Jason's at.
So before then, we need to find Vecna, kill him, and prove you're innocent. And he's like, that's all, Dustin?
That's all. And Robin, of all people, is like, I know that sounds crazy, but like, we've kind of done this a few times. Like, I've only done it once, but these guys have done it a few times. And they did it with Smoke, and mine was more human. It's such a good, like, Robin description of how this has gone. But it's like, no, seriously. I know that sounds crazy, but we can do that. So let's do it. Yeah. And so we see the sirens and the police cars driving by, and they think there's an immediate, or at least I think, they're coming to get Eddie.
Yeah.
But they're driving by, because they're going to see Fred.
They're going to see Fred.
And so Eddie dives under the thing. I like how Max refers to this as like the brainstorming phase, because they don't have their friend with superpowers anymore.
That's right.
But they essentially go get in a car, drive down, and this is where we see Nancy being interviewed by the police about Fred and the last time that we see them. And then I have a note that says the gang rocks up, sees Nancy, and there's this unspoken dialogue between the two where they're like, yeah, stuff's going down. Let's rally.
It's happening.
And that moment, that also is reminiscent of a film that I can't put my finger on, where the car pulls up and they all get out and kind of stand in that formation. And it's kind of like, yeah, come on. It's time to go now. And
it's
I
even
don't
a
remember
little bit,
what it's from.
The way that Steve stood outside of the car just looking with his very, like, his coiffed hair, it was almost reminiscent of, like, Marty McFly getting out of the DeLorean. This was very...
Kinda.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about the way they all got out and looked. I don't know if there was like a Breakfast Club thing or something like that where where one of those movies where there was a, like, hey, was it Ferris Bueller maybe? I don't know. One of those movies. There was a scene that looked just like that, I swear.
Where the cops are still talking to Nancy, but she's just now honed in on her friends.
She's locked in on them and goes, yeah, okay, let's work this out.
Yeah.
And so the next scene, she's broken away from the cops, and now they are all united together in the trailer park, like at one of those picnic tables that's sitting outside.
Yeah.
And they're kind of just sharing all the information that they have. And so they're trying to come to the conclusion of, okay, well, why Fred and Chrissy? Like, what did they have in common? Why are these the people? And they thought, well, what they've come up with is maybe they have seen Vecna before. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe they saw this beforehand. They didn't know it. And so they get this idea of saying, well, they wouldn't tell anybody about this. You can't tell the cops. The cops will think you're insane. You're not going to tell your friends. Maybe you tell a counselor.
Yep.
Because Max saw Chrissy leaving the counselor very upset, very scared, and saw her at the school very upset.
It's a great theory.
And so it's a great theory. So now they're going to break off because Nancy still wants to do research on this Victor Creel.
Yep.
That Eddie's uncle has told her about. And now they also want to check in on the counselor to see what information they can find. So through much debate, they decide the best result is Nancy and Robin will go together to look at the Victor Creel information, and Steve will once again always be the goddamn babysitter.
That's right. Well, Robin doesn't have her driver's license because Steve wanted to go with Nancy.
Yes, he did.
Which Dustin razzes him about in a little bit, but it's like, he's like, oh, you really, you missed your opportunity there. It was so obvious you're throwing yourself at her, which I didn't really take it that way. I'm thinking, did he though? I feel like he was.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Well,
yeah. Listen, he absolutely, we can get back into that a little bit, but he definitely
right
did.
Here, though, there was a moment, where they then pan back into the trailer in Eddie's home, and you see the giant crack on the ceiling, and we've all seen, rips like this before, breaks in walls, and we know it's not good.
Nope.
And Vecna seems to be reaching through this, looking for his next victim. And that's where, Eric, that goes back to where we then see it from his perspective. He's kind of, weaving his way through the atmosphere and reaching into that basketball team's car to reach into, I guess it was Patrick.
I think I'll fact check that. But
players, so I'm sure we're going to see that. I feel like I do recall something happening there, but I don't remember the details. I know that things do not end well for Jason in particular, but I'm excited to get to that point. But before we get there, we're
going to continue with the Nancy side of this here.
Yeah, we see Robin, and Robin is questioning Nancy about her Victor Creel theory, and she's kind of saying this is sort of a wild shot in the dark here. The dude is like 70 years old at this point, and Nancy is just visibly annoyed with Robin. You can tell she is like all set with her being there. She just wants to do her thing. And Robin's trying to understand, is this because of me being friends with Steve? Because we are just straight up friends. Like, that's it. Totally platonic. Nothing else is happening there. So if that's kind of the problem, you have nothing to worry about. She's trying to smooth things over. So I just really appreciate this from Robin, and Nancy's not really giving her an inch, but I think that's what's happening. I think that Robin is onto something there. I think she feels
she's absolutely onto something.
Quite how to read Robin, even though Nancy isn't with Steve, hasn't been with Steve for some time now. It still, I think, is weird.
Well, okay, so not only is she
Nancy to me is being a little bit of a jerk here. I don't appreciate Nancy in this moment. Yeah.
Absolutely. She's not being very helpful with Robin, but Nancy is, if we characterize her character right now, part of this relationship with Jonathan, which is now a long distance relationship. And also, she did not go with Mike to see Jonathan. She could have. She didn't. She is... Her and Jonathan had that moment in that car ride in the last season where they agreed they're not really, on the same page with a lot of stuff. And now we see Jonathan... after hitting golf balls, being like, I'm supposed to go with Nancy to this college, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go here instead, but I don't know how to tell her because I don't want to have her give up on her dreams. And so there's definitely a divide here between Nancy and Jonathan.
But they feel guilty. Yeah, they feel
they
guilty
do, and
they care about each other, but it's
So there's an opportunity here for Nancy to potentially like see things with Steve a little differently, maybe. But Steve is hanging out with Robin. And what Steve knows and what Robin knows is that Robin is a lesbian. And they're not telling anybody. And so for Nancy and Dustin, who both like kind of shoot bullets in this direction, it's like, well, how come you guys aren't hooking up? Well, there's a really good reason, but neither of them are breaking. Like Steve has given his word that is not something that is her story to tell. And so it will be her story to tell. That's
right. Yep. And it's like, she doesn't know these people well enough yet. She's just not ready for that. So she hasn't, but she is trying to reassure Nancy in this moment though, which I appreciate, that it's like, hey, like, listen, this is where we're just friends. But Robin comes through with the hero move here, because really to break through to Nancy, the best thing she can do is find a break in this case, because that's what Nancy is really passionate about. And she finds this article that is all about Victor Creel and how they had tried to do an exorcism on him, and he believed the house was haunted by a demon. Well, the exorcism failed, and it angered the demon even more, which murdered his family, and he was spared as a punishment, is really how he felt that all went down. This is Victor's interpretation of what had happened. And so now they're thinking, Nancy and Robin, as they're reading this, they're thinking, well, Vecna was behind all of that as well. And they then need to tell Dustin. So they're back on the walkie-talkies and communicating what they've learned to Dustin. And they're all planning to meet back at the school.
Yeah.
So that's really where we left them. Yeah.
That is where things have been left. So now what do we want to do here?
Yeah, the final really, the storyline here is more focused in on where Dustin and Max and Steve left things off. Because they're going back to the counselor's office.
Correct.
To try to access these files, which, Eric, is it normal that these kids just, I guess because it's a small town, but it's like they know where their counselor lives? The only way I could explain this is small town, they just know.
So what I might argue is, like, there's no opportunity for students that I have to know what my physical address is, unless of course somebody finds out where I live and then they just know, and they're like, word gets around, right? That happens. At the same time, back then we had things like, the yellow pages, which would just give you, information. So I'm sure there are other ways that they might have been able to find addresses, and it is a much smaller town than the one I currently am in, so I could see how
in a really, really small town, and like I really didn't know where all of my teachers lived. I think a lot of them.
No, but I know where some of them did.
Town.
But you knew where some of them were.
But I also think that if I showed up at their house, they wouldn't just be like, "Come on." Well, I don't know. Maybe, you know what? It probably depends on the kid, depends on the circumstance. This counselor was really wanting to break through to Max and make that connection.
I think if you're a counselor, and you have a student come to your house,
that's
I'm gonna see this person. Yeah. You have to do this in a very specific way, especially like. You would hope that there would be some sort of parents involved or some sort of contact made. But like, I understand the idea of it being a counselor who is trying to connect, and this person comes to your house personally and wants to talk very quickly. I think there's an opportunity there for the counselor to see that this is a really important moment, and let's take advantage of this to try and break through while we have an opportunity. Of course, it all goes sideways because Max doesn't actually want to do any of that.
Yeah, it's true. Because I had that moment where I'm like, oh, she's having her in. That's the kind of weird boundaries there. But I think that because she's the counselor, because she's been trying to connect with Max, it does make sense. And she knows Max is really going through it. She knows she has a rough home life, probably not expecting her, her mom to be there with her necessarily.
Nope.
And so it's, she's trying to make that connection for her and not just leave her in the lurch. But so I think that was good. And she set the clear boundary when she came in. Once Max started to ask questions about, what did you talk about with Chrissy or with Fred? And or not actually, just with Chrissy, because at this point they didn't know that she had been meeting with Fred as well, which we find out shortly.
No, they just asked about Chrissy because that's all they had.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what, though? Max makes a great point here, because the counselor says something like, well, if you had shared something with me, you wouldn't want me telling someone else about that, right? And Max is like, well, yeah, if I had been murdered and other people were trying to figure out what happened to me, at that point, I think I would. And I'm like, you know what, Max? That is a fair argument.
That is a fantastic follow-up point, and I think... I mean, now this is me watching a number of other television shows where things like this happen. I feel like if a person has passed away, that information can start coming out very differently. So I don't know that Max has a right to it, but, but I believe it can be sourced as investigative material, which is what Max is trying to do, but she has no authority. But of course, she asks to use the bathroom and stumbles upon a bowl of keys, one of which is clearly labeled office.
Thank God for that.
That's the piece of this that I'm like, okay. Come on. You've got a whole bowl of keys here, which I know was more a thing in the 80s, that's for sure. But then you've got a key with a key ring on it that just says office?
Might as
clear
well say,
white.
Take this one.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, come on. What are we doing here?
It was great.
It
was great. She's running back to the car. They're booking it out of there. And we have Dustin accusing Steve. Yeah, this is where he had, before I guess Max got back out there, that's where Dustin had accused Steve about going after Nancy, or really putting the moves on her.
Yes.
And there was some banter back and forth, which was funny, where he said he would punch him so hard in the face that his teeth would all get knocked out. He's like, all right, that was too far. That was too far, man. So I appreciated that banter back and forth, because the teeth, that's a soft spot there. Don't it
is a soft spot. Teeth. But you know what? Yeah. It's listen, that's the sort of thing that would be said.
Yeah.
Is it too far? Yes. Is it something that a guy would say? Absolutely.
Yeah. But they go right back to the school where they are busting into this counselor's office. And that is where they learn that not only Chrissy had been seeing the counselor, but Fred had been too. Yes. And when they start leafing through the details of their sessions with the counselor, Max is like, I've been having, she doesn't voice this, but you see her thinking it, that she's had all these symptoms that they're describing. The migraines, the nightmares, the bloody nose. And you see this flashback of Max getting a bloody nose in one of her classes. And this is all been very real for Max as well. So you then see Max in the hallway of the school alone, and she's hearing and seeing the clock. So this is not good for Max. Not good.
No. This is when Max comes to the realization that she is on the list. She might not be next, but she is coming up, because that clock is ticking, and it's only a matter of time now. Mm-hmm. And this is where we really end. We really end with this whole idea of Max being the next one. Lot of information. A lot of information today.
Yeah. There's a lot of information. And again, really enjoyed this episode. I'm excited to hear what you thought as far as ratings go and how they stack up to our others. and who your favorite and least favorite characters were.
All right, so now we're going to jump into our IMDb ratings segment of this podcast, where we talk about our ratings versus your ratings as we find them on IMDb, and we talk about our favorite and least favorite characters from this episode. Our last podcast, we did a Friends podcast. I went first. Amanda, how about you go first here? Do you want to jump in with your favorite or least favorite character?
Yeah, So for my least, I went back and forth with a couple people, but I think as we're talking about this again, I'm going with Joyce as my least favorite. And I love Joyce, but this episode she wasn't seeing.
I don't hate that.
Right
I don't hate that pick. She was on the shortest list for me.
Yeah. Missed all the obvious things that were right in her face, and she should have just told the kids what was going on, what they were up to. They need to get all on the same page much sooner. I appreciate her wanting to try to protect the kids, but that is not the move here. The kids, as we've said, they're the ones who have been saving the day. They need to loop them in on what's happening. To not even tell Jonathan, it's weird. And Jonathan, I'm just going to say, Jonathan was on my short list. He was the next one that I'm like, Jonathan, buddy, you got to get it together.
I'll be honest with you. Yeah. There's a short list for least favorite characters, like the most short list, but there's an even shorter list for me for favorite characters. There's not a lot there. There's actually I can find things that I didn't like about more characters than things that I did. So I totally understand that. And I'll jump in here. I know you're talking about Jonathan, but I'm going to say my least favorite is Will. Like, I just think Will stood by on the sidelines and watched everything go by and didn't do a dang thing about anything. He, the most involved he got was going to try to see 11 after she had been taken away by the police. Like you're saying, she's at the roller rink. He should have sat next to her and said something.
Oh, yeah.
She's at the dinner table. You've got to break that tension. It's the next morning. You've got to break that tension. Like, something's got to give. And I feel like while Mike wasn't good at it, he at least made steps.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He tried in his own way to do something. 11 didn't really accept anything, but she at least had the conversation to try and break that tension with Mike. Jonathan, I don't like what he did either. Joyce, I don't like what he did either, but Will just stood by and watched it all go by.
Yeah.
Like, he had opportunities to do things and just didn't. Mm-hmm. And so I just really dislike that part of it.
Yeah, I really struggle with, I feel like, that personality type in general too. So like seeing that in Will, I'm like, oh gosh, like just like kind of like, oh, I'm just like gonna watch things happen around me, not take any, action, not jump in, like not help, not just, it's like, oh, dude, you're to me,
it's one thing for Will to be more passive and let things slide by, and that's okay. I'm okay with that character type. But at some point, you have to say something. And the most he said here was like, hey, we don't want to go see that movie because it's supposed to be stupid. Which was just not even true. Like, why you don't want to see the movies, because you don't want to go anywhere right now. Everybody's just mad at each other. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
How about your favorite character?
So it was actually a little bit tough for me to pick a favorite character in this episode.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like people did good things. I mean, listen, so for that reason, I went with Robin because I liked that she found that article. And about Victor Creel, I feel like that was a breakthrough moment. And even though Nancy, this is really her angle here going after the story, I feel like she was so distracted by what was happening with Steve and being angsty toward Robin that she might have not even found it, or maybe it would have just taken her a whole lot longer. So Robin was on it. She was supportive and jumped right in.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. She was on a short list for me. She's not who I picked. I picked Max. I think, listen, we spent some time debating on whether or not this would actually happen or not. But the idea that Max is able to go in and talk to the counselor and be the one that gets the keys, be the one that kind of cracks some of this information open.
Yes.
She's the reason, like we said, that Lucas ends up turning the tide and coming to start heading back towards the group.
Yeah.
She has had some significant development here from where we saw her merely 2 episodes ago. Where she was just distant and standoffish with everybody, and now she's coming back around and helping and being part of the team. Again, I don't think there was anyone who really did a lot of great.
Right.
But I really like Max. I liked Robin. I also thought about like Steve briefly, but it would have only been or Steve or Dustin, because they also did positive things, but not a lot.
Yeah.
So I like Max here.
Yeah. I also considered 11
How about
for
ratings?
This episode. I was thinking about 11 as a favorite too, and I feel like I just want to give notable or honorable mention to 11, because I feel like her making that choice to go with Dr. Owens, and I'm going to try to get my powers back and really defeat this curse in Hawkins. Good for you, because she could have just ran off and been afraid and not taken any action. So I appreciated that.
The last 5 minutes of 11's story in this episode, absolutely. The rest of them, no. The rest of the minutes, nah. Like, too much chaos going on there for me. But I understand that. I can understand an honorable mention there for sure. But let's dive into the ratings now.
Okay.
I will go first. I already put mine in on the spreadsheet here. I am clocking in at an 8.3. Okay. So the way I'm looking at this is, on the first episode, I gave it a 9. The next episode, I liked it a little bit less, so I gave it an 8.6. I could have gone a little higher than that, to be honest with you, but still, I like the first one much better. The third one, I feel like we've again taken a step backwards. Like there wasn't enough going on here, so I'm dropping it down another couple points to an 8.3. I feel like that's reasonable. I won't be surprised if the IMDb rating is lower than an 8.1, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it starts leveling up here, as maybe people are more interested now that they're finding out a little bit more information. So I'll be curious where they are, but I would imagine IMDb is still under 8.5, since they've done 8.1s the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I definitely dipped down for this episode. I dipped down a bit because I just felt like I wish that more happened. Like, I felt a bit frustrated by the end of the episode. I just felt like more could have been developed. Like, we were, again, we talked about how this episode is sort of a bridge episode. I get it. We're in the eye of the storm. Okay, that's fair. And I do appreciate the ramp up, but I just wish that more had just gone down. We get these short seasons and there could have been more there. So for me, I went with a 7.9 for this episode, especially because of how action-packed I felt like the first 2 were. I just felt like we sort of fell off a little bit with this episode, so I gave this one a 7.9.
Oh, wow. I totally understand you giving this a 7.9. That makes a ton of sense to me. Like I said, I'm a little bit more okay with this one, I guess. I gave it an 8.3. I liked it a little bit more. But for you to come down from a 9 to a 7.9, that just shows how little like big moments there were in this one. It was just kind of like progressing all the characters forward. Yeah. Any thoughts?
No, I think that it makes sense. I'm excited to see where we go next week, because we know now that 11 is all, she's now teamed up with Dr. Owens. And we see that Max, especially this cliffhanger with her being, I guess we could say is possessed by, or I'm not really sure how we're thinking of this right now, but we have seen any time that someone is seeing this clock and hearing Vecna, things don't go well for that person. So we're going to see where things go with Max, and I'm excited for that for sure. Yeah, so next, what's the title of next week's episode, Eric? Do we have that in front of us?
Well, before we get to the title of next week's episode, let me give you the official IMDb rating for this episode, and that is actually an 8.3. So that is spot on with me, although ironically, you and I are both coming significantly downward, and the IMDb average is starting to grow at this point.
That's
so
funny.
I guess maybe it was because we started so much higher than everybody else, but we've kind of like, we're not very far from each other at this point now with the fans. So I find that to be very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please check out our socials, our Instagram, our YouTube, and all the other social platforms we're out there on. Subscribe, like, thumbs up, share, do what you do on your socials. Please drop a comment. We're always here to respond. Again, you can check out these podcasts in full on WeRunOnReruns.com. You can also find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your other favorite podcast players. For Amanda, this is Eric. Enjoy rewatching Stranger Things Season 4, Episode 4, Chapter 4, Dear Billy, next week. Happy rerunning, everybody.
See you later, guys.